So what I'm going to do is go ahead and pop over to my overhead camera, and we're going to get started, okay? So you should be seeing some fabric on the table, and let me move some of this stuff off. So yesterday we dyed our fabric, and we dyed several pieces. We did some traditional tie-dye where you tie it and dye it. So this is one of the samples, and this was emulate indigo. So it wasn't quite where I wanted it to be, but it came out pretty good. So we did a sample like this yesterday, and we also did a sample like this where I took the fabric and I put rubber bands around it in a concentric circle starting at a corner and just working my way out. And this was dyed with two colors. So the first one was basically one color, but it was a mixture of 3 different blues to make that one color, and this one was 2 colors. So these are the pieces we dyed yesterday, and what we're going to do is rinse these out. So let me put my gloves on so that I don't run around with multicolored fingers. And before we rinse it out, I need to confess to one thing. These dyes need to sit at a certain temperature range for at least 4 hours, and I usually let them sit overnight. But yesterday I forgot to take them out of my studio, and they sat in the studio overnight, and the temperature dropped too low. So I ended up popping these in the plastic bag and throwing them in the microwave for about a minute to bring them up to a warmer temperature, but they've only been sitting for about 3 hours. And normally I like to let my stuff sit overnight, especially the blues, because they take a little longer. So we'll see how these come out. They may not, and you can see there's a lot of dye coming out, which is kind of normal, but we'll see if too much of it comes out. And now I need to take the rubber bands off. Let's see if I can pull them off. I try to pull them off instead of cutting them because I go through a lot of rubber bands, but if they don't want to come off real easy, I'll cut them. We'll just take these off, and if you have any questions as I go along, pop them in the chat for me, please, and I'll get to them. So these are, this large one is a plastic golf ball that I got from the kids section at the Dollar Tree, and the smaller ones are just some little marbles. Cut this one. The only thing I hate about cutting is you always risk cutting your fabric. And this fabric, if you weren't in this yesterday's stream, this fabric is a loosely woven cotton, and it's actually drapery fabric. And the first time I ever dyed with it was last week, and it really took the dye surprisingly well. I was surprised at how well it took the dye. But I'm also surprised this time because if you weren't here yesterday, if you go back and watch yesterday's live stream, you'll notice how little dye that I actually put on this piece, but it just wicked all over and it basically dyed the whole piece. So I wasn't expecting it to wick so much. So, but the more you use a fabric, the more you become aware of how it behaves, and you can make you can compensate for that. So if I was to do this again, I'd even use less dye. Well, just one more rubber band to go. Hi Cindy! I got 2 Cindys. Cindy Townley meets Cindy Bidar from Tiny Course Empire podcast. I belong to Cindy Bidar's membership program about teaching online, and Cindy Townley is a really good friend of mine from Florida. So thanks Cindy for coming again. Okay. So This really wicked up a lot. I don't see how, if you can see that much. There's very little white space, but we'll deal with it. I'm going to now just squeeze this out and put it in. I have another tub of water just over here, and that's hot water with some dish soap. So I'll take the other two pieces. Now the other two pieces are two colors. So I said we're going to be doing one or two colors, and this one was the same turquoise blue, but with, I think, tangerine, either tangerine or golden yellow. So I should be able, ooh, that was a mess. Got dye splatter all over the place on that one. Luckily I have plastic on my table. It keeps everything nice and clean. And I'm wearing old clothes with a little smock so that if I do get dye on me, hopefully it doesn't get on any of my clothes. So this is the same fabric, and this was the concentric circles, but I did this one from the middle out. I don't know if you can see how well you can see that. So we'll just put that in the same cold water and swish it around for just a minute or two. And then I'm going to put it in the hot water. And it looks like I'm going to lose a lot of the blue on this one, which that's what I was expecting since I didn't put it in a warm environment overnight. And now I'm going to take this last one off, and this is the same blue, same turquoise, and this one is going to, I did this one a little different. This one is this concentric circles from the corner out, and I did one color per segment, except for the one segment that I messed up. I got two colors. So I see we've got another person. Could you pop in the chat and let me know who you are and where you're from? And thanks for coming. So I'm going to cut these because I can tell that I'll just get a bunch of dye splattered all over the place if I try to pull these off. Okay. So Cindy Bedard, what's the weather like there in Tucson area? Is it cold? Got up this morning, it was 19 degrees outside. A little too cold for me, but I guess I'll have to get used to it. Yeah, bird was, whoa, that's cold, Cindy. When I was in, I lived in Sierra Vista, Cindy, there for a few years, for about a year actually, and it's a higher elevation than you are there in Tucson, so it got pretty cold. Okay, so this, now well you can see that, this is the piece where I put a different color in each segment, except for this segment here I got both colors. So I'll just put that in the cold water for a minute. Looks like a lot of the blue is going to wash out. Hey Janice! Hey Janice, you made it! It does, Janice, I was saying earlier before you got here, I usually put these in my laundry room overnight because my studio gets so cold. And last night I forgot to. I left them in the studio overnight. And when I got in my studio this morning, it was 42 degrees. So what I did was I put them in those plastic bags, and I popped them in the microwave for about 4 minutes, or no, a minute, just to kind of bring the temperature up, and then I let them sit in the house. But I still expect to lose a lot of color because they really didn't sit as long as they should have. Especially this blue, you know, the blues, they take a lot longer. And they really do need some overnight time. So we'll see. So the first rinse was in cold water, and now this is some hot water with dish soap, and I'm going to put that there, and I need to go out and change my water into another tub. So if you guys would just give me a minute, I'll be right back, and I'm going to go get some more water, some more hot water. Hey Janice, that's okay, late is good, late is good. You're here, thank you, I appreciate you taking the time. So give me a minute and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, Cindy Bedard, these dyes, these particular dyes, they work within a certain temperature range, right in the 70s to almost 100. The sound is better today. Thanks, Cindy Townley. I've got the new mic on order, so hopefully it'll be here soon. But yeah, Cindy Bedard, these dyes have to work in I don't know the exact temperature range, but it's in the 70s to almost 100. And if it gets too cold, they actually stop what we call reacting. So Cindy Bedard, these dyes, we use a fixative, and when you use the fixative, the dyes, they chemically bond with the, let me switch to this camera. They chemically bond with the fabric, and that way they're very light fast and very wash fast. So the colors don't fade and they don't wash out that much. But it has to have a certain temperature range for that chemical bond to happen. So if it's too cold or too hot, the chemical range, the bond, the reaction will basically stop. So that's why I pop those in the microwave for about a minute to just bring the fabric back up to that certain temperature range, and then I left it in the house for several hours. Janice, yeah, I've done that before. I put them in the microwave, then I've scorched the fabric. So what I did was put them in the plastic bags and almost sealed it totally, but left it a little bit so the bag wouldn't burst, and that built up some steam in the bag so it wouldn't scorch the fabric. But yeah, I've scorched my fabric before, so I don't do the microwave much anymore. So let me go ahead and go back over to the overhead camera, and so I've got my second container of warm water, and I'm just going to take these out of here and put them in the warm water again, fresh warm water. So usually most of the color is going to come out in those first two soaks, the ice water and the cold water. And you can see how pale this one's become. So, and it's going to light up even more once it's dry. So once it's dry, it's going to be about 30% lighter than what it is. So this one seems to have more color, but we'll see when it's dry. And Didn't get a lot of white circles on this as much as I expected. So I usually do several more rinses, and on a small batch like this, I don't throw them in a washer. I just will rinse in these tubs for several more times until the water is almost clear, or as clear as I think it's going to get. I've read instructions say to wash it until the water is clear. It's never going to get clear when you're washing it by hand like this. If you need it to be totally clear like that, you need to wash it in the machine. So that's really it for today. The second, thanks Janice. Yeah, I like this blues and yellow. So this is the turquoise, and this is golden yellow. This one here, you can't see that. Let me go back to that camera. So this one is golden yellow, but a lot of that color, both of those colors washed out a lot. Okay, and this is another yellow. This is tangerine. So, and all of my dyes come from the company called Pro Chemical and Dye on the East Coast. So I get all of my dyes and fabric paints from them. Well, thank you, Cindy Bedar. I think they'll be okay, but you know what? If they don't, then I've got other plans for them too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these rinse or soak for a couple more times, and then I will dry them. And since I won't do a live stream for the final results, I'll do a little video tutorial, not tutorial, but a video slideshow on the channel, and I'll put the results up there, which I still haven't put the results up from last week, but I will. So so that's basically it for today. The second day is usually very short because the rinse out is basically what I can show you just like I did and answer any questions. So if there are any other questions, just go ahead and pop them in the chat for me. And I really do appreciate you guys coming out. And I will have the replay up on the channel. It usually takes not very long for the replay to go up. So you'll be able to find that on the channel. And if you missed yesterday's, go back and watch yesterday's replay. But go ahead, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. If not, that's really it for today. I appreciate you coming. I hope you come back next week. Oh, speaking of next week, let me show you, give you a sneak peek of next week. So next week we're going to be doing Arashi Shibori. Okay, Cindy, thanks for coming. So next week we're going to be doing Arashi Shibori, and we'll be using a PVC pipe. So let me switch cameras. So this one is actually indigo, but we won't be doing indigo. I will be working with 3 different blues trying to simulate indigo. So this is the kind of look we're going to be doing next week. And so again, it's going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 o'clock Central. And I'll send the link out to everyone. And I hope to see you back here then. If you have any questions before we go, just go ahead and pop them in the chat. So, no, nothing else? Then I'll hang around here for another minute. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them for me. If not, I hope to see you next week. Thank you, Janice. I'm staying warm. I've actually got my temperatures up here in the studio so that it's actually comfortable enough to work as long as I'm dressed for it. Thanks. Oh. Yeah, I got my hat back on now, Janice. I usually take it off during the main part of the stream. Sometimes it gets in the way, it kind of blocks my vision. You do what you gotta do, Janice. I'm making it work. It's gonna take a lot for me not to have a studio. Hi, Pat. Yeah, I have on leggings under my sweats. Does that count as quilting pants? You know, my hair is so short that, I have to have something on my head to keep the heat in. Hi, Pat. We've actually finished with the rinsing out, but you can catch the replay, okay?